Hello there. Welcome to BoostThru's Breaking Barriers interview series, a show where we go beyond the boardroom to uncover the real stories, insights, and strategies of today's most influential executive women leaders. I am your host, Saskia Christian, founder of BoostThru, where we help corporate leaders really transform their burnout into breakthrough by blending hard-won experience with cutting-edge resilience and emotional intelligence training. Now, each episode we sit down with trailblazing women leaders at the helm of change, CEOs, CFOs, university presidents, and more, who are not really just shattering the glass ceilings, right? But also redefining what it means to lead with purpose, resilience, and authenticity. Now, our guests share their journeys through high stress environments, and their approach to really building resilience teams and emotional intelligence skills that really enable them to thrive and, of course, inspire others. Now, today we are absolutely honored. We are honored to welcome a truly exceptional guest, Marilyn Johnson. Marilyn is a pioneering chief sustainability and DEI leader, an area of passion of mine. Right? So she has been recognized globally as one of the top 50 women in sustainability, and her career spans over 25 years. Would you believe that? Of executive leadership advancing ESG, that means environmental social governance, DEI, and well-being initiatives across major organizations. Now, I'm going to have Marlene talk a little bit more about her background, because who can really speak best other than, she can. So, Marlene, welcome. Welcome to the Breaking Barriers interview series. How are you today?
I'm great, Saskia. Thank you. Super fun to be here. Exciting to talk about this and just explore the journeys that take us where we go, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I must say, in just researching your background, you are indeed a brilliant powerhouse. And you've done remarkable things in sustainability arena and wellness, and you clearly transcend boundaries in environmental and human sustainability. So it's really indeed an honor to have you on the show, because you're a resilient strategist just like myself. So tell me, what's your, if you can tell the viewers what's your name formally and the current position that you hold at the moment.
Oh, thank you, Saskia. That's very kind, sweet introduction. And you know what? I just am a person who follows my intuition, my passion. I'm driven to make a difference. So that can show up in different ways throughout our career and our personal and professional lives. So I'm Marilyn Johnson. I currently live in Arizona, where Saskia lives. So it was such a pleasure to meet in person. But
Oh, yeah.
I am currently a principal strategist at a small consulting firm, a boutique firm, and the journey to take me there is one that I feel like is the right time and place for me. I've always had a drive and a passion for health, wellness for both people, planet, and prosperity. And so, currently at Go Big Strategies, what we want to do is harness that in sports and entertainment, so that there's diversity, equity, inclusion, sustainability as part of that amazing platform. There's so much power in sports and entertainment. It's integral in so much of our society. And yet there still remain many inequities, as we know, and things are changing and there's bright lights in different places. But I think it's a really exciting place. The other thing that really drives us at Go Big is we want to work with the already ready. And what I mean by that is we want to help people who want to do things right, but they're just not sure what the next steps are. And I think with the backgrounds of me and my team, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to harness these very different experiences and backgrounds to help organizations do that.
Well said. And that sounds very exciting. It's something where you would be happy to be at work every day.
Yes.
An extension of you, and that's wonderful. So really, with over 25 years leading sustainability and DI strategies in complex matrix organizations, I'm sure you've consistently driven positive change, right? And set benchmarks for ethical leadership. Now, how long have you really been working in the executive level, let's say chief sustainability officer, in the prior companies, and what has that journey looked like for you?
If I rewind back to the 2000s, sounds like ancient history, right? But my career out of college really started at the same time that sustainability, the word sustainability, or um, as a career or as a field, was starting to evolve. And so it's been a very exciting journey because my career has evolved at the same time that the field has evolved. So when I think about when did I get into this? Well, after graduating from my master's program, I started into what was then health and safety. And health and safety then in big picture became kind of environment, health and safety, which was a really big change for a lot of people because there were the people who took care of the environment and the people that took care of the people. But now it was coming together. And for me, that just made
Yes.
natural sense because I studied something called industrial hygiene, which is a long-term health effects and impacts of exposures in your work environment. Well,
Yes.
if whether you're a person or you're a tree, that
Mhm.
chemical will have a different impact. So the bringing together EH&S made sense. Then that quickly evolved and morphed into environment, health, safety, and sustainability. So now we're looking at the broader big picture of how do companies operate? How do they govern? So for most of my career, I've worked in corporate global sustainability. So leading global initiatives at companies that are very matrixed,
Yeah.
operating in different environments, chemical companies, integrated forest products, professional services, and information services. So what's interesting is the field of sustainability fits into every type of organization. I've done a lot of nonprofit leadership, advisory leadership. So regardless of the type of work or the type of product that you're making, sustainability inherently should be and is part of whether you deliberately are looking at it or not. Sustainability is
Yeah.
part of the journey. And so
Yes. Mhm.
companies maybe didn't talk about it. So early in my days, and I often say this, I take random acts of sustainability, things that companies are already doing really well, and
Mhm.
bring them together into a strategic vision and an approach and a framework so you can deliver really impactful results and show the impact of the work that you're doing.
Amazing. Every company would love to have someone like you. They love that. And so thank you for just the incredible results that you've garnered for those organizations and those roles. So basically you transform sustainability practices, right? And you've built inclusive cultures. Given your experience, you would have seen firsthand the sector's unique challenges, right, in fostering resilience and emotional intelligence, or even authentic, I would say, authentic leadership, especially related to sustainable development goals. So, can you just describe your industry, the industry sector of sustainability, and the specific challenges it faces for cultivating resilience and maybe empowering authentic leadership? Two of those things.
Yeah, it's a big question. It's a great question. So I'll start with, again, regardless of your organization, there are going to be, I'll call them opportunities, challenges/opportunity, right? In the area of sustainability. So when I was working in, let's say, the integrated forest products industry, there was obviously a very big drive towards environment. However, what you'd see with that would be, and this is a while ago, but there would be a lot of activist groups. So back when this whole movement or like sustainability became more generally aware, there were more activist groups, and you would hear of Greenpeace or the Rainforest Action Network, and chaining to trees and really protesting or trying to like get corporations to wake up. One of the most pivotal series of experiences for me was working with IHS Market and working with Walmart. And what Walmart wanted to do was to address chemicals in their supply chain. And they were looking at targeting 3 chemicals a year. And through conversations and through some innovation, we were working on a product, a platform called the Green Product Selector. What it would do was it actually transformed in the whole conversation from pick 3 things in a massive supply chain, which would have drop in the bucket effect, to hey, instead of using a fishing pole, cast a wide net. And with this tool, you could do that. You could look at all kinds of products and the different health and environmental impacts and make better choices as, say, a buyer of those products. And so seeing the shift from let's just get rid of a few bad things to where we are today around innovation. So I think that if companies look at what's the challenge and say, how can we innovate and be better? There's great examples like Patagonia. I mean, there's lots of them out there. But I think what's exciting as a practitioner is to go in and understand where are you at, and kind of do that gap analysis and say, where do you really want to be? Like, what's your intention? And I like the term when you think of DEI of doing everything intentionally. And so if you can be intentional with trying to solve some of the problems or to address some of the challenges, not easy, but it is doable if the right intention is there. And if there is a driver to do that. And that's why I like working with the already ready, but just not sure what the next steps are to get there.
Yes. So of course you said that brilliantly in terms of cultivating resilience there, but in terms of empowering authentic leadership, just being intentional is being authentic, right, towards the cause.
Right.
And
Right.
the change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I
that's
think
just
also it's important to just keep moving forward. There isn't a problem that's just simple to solve. And when we're talking about big things like sustainability, equity, there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of complexity, there's a lot of
correct.
history, there's cultural impacts, there's realities, whether it's financial or geographies or whatever it might be. So I think that, you want to be able to keep moving forward. You have to be okay with failure or fits and starts, not aim for perfection, but continuous improvement and to get better and to know what that better looks like. And if it's not better, then you adjust course. So being adaptable, being flexible and really intentional in the road. Yeah.
Adaptability, which is a key element of resilience, which
Right.
So
Right.
in terms of thank you so much for that, those insights there. And so let's see if we can delve into really what resilience definition is, right? So your leadership philosophy clearly emphasizes boldness, collaboration, and challenging norms to create long-term value, which you've clearly demonstrated at those different major organizations. So as someone recognized for building resilient organizations and communities, your perspective on resilience is especially very relevant. How do you define resilience in your words?
Well, yeah. So yeah, resilience is something that you can build and grow and cultivate. And I think every person has their own experiences, personally, professionally, that kind of helps shape their resilience. For me, it is always showing up. And it's kind of that never give up attitude, because resilience inherently means you need to move through disruption. You need to move through challenges and arguably kind of welcome it a little bit, because it's easier just to take the known path. But if you want to really facilitate and be part of change, you have to be able to be resilient and work through and have that grit and really keep going forward.
Yes, which I know perseverance is an excellent quality of yours.
Right. I like to say it's a kind of a combination in sustainability. What I found a lot of success that I've had has been through informal leadership. I had a great quote from one of my former colleagues when I was on the executive team at Arcsada, and he said, "You have a small team, but you have more people reporting into you than anyone in the organization." And he didn't mean reporting into me. He meant, having informal leadership means influence without the authority and be able to facilitate change. Because I've always said sustainability is not a one-person job. This is like everyone in the organization needs to be on board. And, I came from a safety background, and it's a similar philosophy. A safety team can set up some parameters and policies and procedures and all the other things. But if the person who's doing the job isn't implementing and doing the things, it's not going to be a safe environment. So sustainability is very similar. Everyone has their role to play. So the role of informal leadership, I can't emphasize enough how that is, and that gets back to being resilient and having emotional intelligence and being able to read the room and be able to, So it's a combination of this patience plus perseverance, right?
Yes,
They need to go
definitely.
hand in hand. Yeah.
Yes, indirect influencing and perseverance are definitely key qualities in really affecting change, at a
Yeah.
high level. And I can definitely speak to that being, in my corporate career, I've led environmental and safety initiatives globally. So I
You know
definitely
what I'm talking about.
talking about. So let's talk a little bit more about, and thank you for that, the personal resilience strategies, right? Throughout your career, you've obviously navigated high impact roles and led teams through significant transformation. That's highly commendable. Now, your expertise in well-being and positive change really positions you to really offer unique insights into managing stress. And there's a whole lot of that right around, and building personal resilience in demanding environments, which I'm sure you've worked in. What are the key challenges or stresses you faced in your roles, prior roles, and how do you personally cultivate resilience to overcome them? So if you can give like a few of those challenges.
Yeah. So I think any work environment has challenges, right?
Mhm.
For example, back when I worked at IHS Markit and Clarivate, those were two global companies. IHS Markit publicly traded, Clarivate also
Mhm.
publicly traded, in environments that with a highly acquisitive CEO. So when I started at IHS, there were 2,500 colleagues, and we grew very quickly through 70 acquisitions over the course of my tenure
Wow.
into over 13,000. And then we merged with Market. So you can imagine there's this inherent challenge of change, constant change, integrating cultures, building synergies amongst what may have been competitors. That's why you acquire. You want to consolidate and kind of own markets. So I think that being resilient and also what I love about sustainability is it is cross-functional. It is not a siloed function. And I
Correct.
found it was a great area of unity. So bringing in kind of diversity, equity, inclusion types of program wellness, those are areas of connection. You might have a global team who's virtually running across the continent of Africa to raise money for water, so there's all kinds of ways to harness what is a challenge and create an opportunity out of that. I love to do that. I love to see what's the challenge and how is that actually an opportunity that we can actually impact change. So I think that's a good example. When I was at Arcsada is a privately equity held firm, a spinoff from a larger company. And we would describe at the time startup being a company that's been around a long time in startup mode. So there were the challenges of identity. I created a whole new name and the identity, and then there were two acquisitions quickly after that. So again, I think in today's corporate world, you're gonna, to be successful, you've got to figure out how to navigate the change and work
Yes.
through and build connections and build alliances, figure out where are the commonalities, where are the common points
Mhm.
of strength that bring people together rather than spread them apart. Because when there's a lot of change, everyone has a different relationship with change. Some people welcome it. Some people are fearful of it. Others buckle down and they just lock in. So I
Yep.
think that really being able to just connect with people, take the time to
Mhm.
have conversations, take the time to listen, to really build and not direct where things are going, I think is great. And I have always been involved with employee resource groups and things like that, which is a great area of connectivity and provides some human side during times that may feel chaotic with change and growth
Mhm.
in companies. So those are some examples of things that I've been involved with.
Yeah, to really just overcome those challenges and stresses. I do have to say, the key ingredients in building resilience will be, empathy, right? And active listening. Those qualities that you highlighted are really, really relevant towards shifting the status quo and having, successful outcomes and not, just changing culture, right, for the better.
Right.
So in terms of team resilience, you've definitely developed and led programs that not only improved ESG, and for those who are listening, ESG is environmental social governance, but also fostered resilience and high performing teams. Now, that approach has obviously been well received and widely recognized. So, are there any specific challenges, not challenges, strategies or practices you have found effective in building resilience within your team, prior team, or current team as a freelance consultant? Um,
Yeah, so I think it's a great question also. So uh, believe it or not, all of my roles for the most part have been virtual. I've worked remotely because I'm on a global company and leading global teams. I think
mhm,
that there are some additional challenges with that, but then there's also some really cool opportunities. Um, the most obvious one is time zones, which everyone is challenged with in the global world. Global is great, but time zones can be challenging. I have
yes.
many 5 a.m. meetings because my colleagues
Mm,
were in Europe and I was on the west coast of the US. But aside from that, I think it's very important that teams collaborate and are very clear on what's the common objective. Like everyone's got different skills and ways that they contribute. It needs to be clear and communicated regularly. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to
mhm,
achieve? What do we need to do to get there? Adapt or adjust. Having, if this is more tactical, but having a very clear roadmap and everyone understanding kind of where they fit in, because you might otherwise not have those, where when you're in the workplace, you have some other experiences and you can kind of get a pulse on things. When you're remote,
yes.
you might not have that. So you have to actively create
Mhm,
those points of connection and understanding of where everyone's at. So those are some of the strategies around the challenge of being a global team and making sure, and regardless of global or if you're on site together, being very clear where you're going and how everyone's role contributes, because everyone's got a different role. But at the end of the day, I think it's
yes.
important to have very clear objectives of where are you headed? Like why are we doing all this? Why do we show up every day? How do we make it great? And how do we know when we've gotten there? Doing check-ins and
Right.
taking time to reflect and celebrate and appreciate one
Mm.
another.
Yes, yes. So definitely all those items that you or attributes that you highlighted are affiliated with agile project management. So
Yep.
that we can change. I'm a project manager, certified. So that's what I was thinking. All the qualities that, really cause you to be successful, right? As a global leader in a virtual environment, right?
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
to do with being agile. So we're grateful for those principles in navigating changing or dynamic environments.
Right. Right.
So, in terms of emotional intelligence, if we can delve into a little bit in emotional intelligence mastery in leadership. Now, your work as a positive change, and I think it's referred to as the Blue Zone ambassador,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And DEI leader really highlights the importance of emotional intelligence in driving sustainable, equitable, inclusive change. And you champion cultures brilliantly where empathy and trust and collaboration are foundational. So thank you so much for being that leader. Thank you so much for making a difference.
Aw.
How important do you consider emotional intelligence in your role as a woman executive leader, in the sustainability sector, and now as a consultant, lead for your organization?
Yeah, so thank you. We're not robots. We are all humans having a human experience. And
Right.
I'm also a mother. I've raised two children, and I've always foundationally believed like I need to, it needs to feel right. I need to feel like what I do matters, that I'm
Mhm.
enjoying the ride. Not that everything has to be
Yes.
perfect, but I need to engage with my life. I mean, and I want others to engage with their life and to feel purposeful and to feel appreciated. So as anyone who's in, whether you're a leader or you're on a team or that, I think that just that's what the world I want to be surrounded with, and that's the world that I want to show up in and to be part of and to lead. So I think that found like just being intentional, values based, being able to kind of read the room, stay calm under pressure, and move
Yes.
forward with positive intention. And I think if that can be how you show up, I think that you will be successful because you're living true and authentically to who you are, and you're helping others to do the same.
Absolutely.
And ideally, you're in an environment where others kind of feel the same way, might have different values, might have different ways of doing things, but you're all aligned together in, hey, let's go do this thing together. Let's enjoy it. Let's have a
Yes.
positive impact.
Mhm.
Again, we're humans having a human experience. So let's just start there and do the best we can with all the external pressures of the numbers and all the objectives and things. But that shouldn't lose that human factor. And I think that's going to
Mhm.
become more important in this world of AI and all these other things. We're still humans. Like, we need to stay,
Yeah.
and I think connection is more important than ever now.
Yes. Give yourself permission to be human.
Yeah.
That's what I captured from all that you said. And it is so,
Yes.
so important in this
Mhm.
day. It's part of your DNA and your signature to show up as yourself and
Yeah.
as not anyone else representative.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, thank you for that, in terms of emotional intelligence competencies and given your proven track record, I must say, of leading diverse global teams and advancing DI, what emotional intelligence skills do you find most critical for success at the executive level? So if you can think about key skills or competencies related to emotional intelligence, right, to drive success for all those aspiring women executive leaders who are listening and wondering what it will take for them to, elevate their career like you have, and to stay there in that success move, in that, and be successful, and of course leave an excellent legacy.
Yeah. Well, to get to the executive level, you have to deliver results. Start there,
Hmm.
and do it in a way that is very intentional, and
Yes.
to ensure that you are I would say the higher, I don't like hierarchies, but let's just say that the more you move up in an organization, the more you have to have a very good understanding of more of the organization rather than just your role. So you
Just
go
your
you go from being this like an individual performer, and now you really need to, even if you're not involved in finance or IT or HR, you still need to have a good lay of the land. So uh,
awareness.
having
Mhm.
that awareness, you don't have to be an expert in everything by any measure. I'm not saying that, but
Mhm.
there needs to be so that's kind of what you need to know from an emotional intelligence standpoint. It's
Mhm.
having that awareness that needs to be part of who you are now. Like, you need to continue to grow, and that's part of new roles, whether you're going up, down, or side.